Hey everybody, and welcome to your Indie Snapshot for today. Today, we're taking a look at a nice little indie game that's actually been out for quite a while called Gratuitous Space Battles, and just released its 7th, I believe, expansion called Outcasts, which introduced 10 new ships, 6 new modules for those ships, and 2 new scenarios, I believe, is the number of scenarios it introduces as well. But the real question is, since I haven't done this game before, is what is Gratuitous Space Battles? And that's a very interesting question to answer because it's a very hard one to answer. It is, I think the best way to describe it is exactly what it's called. It's a space battle simulation, a sci-fi space battle simulation. The catch is how much content is packed into this game. It has battles, which are the scenarios, a campaign, a whole campaign, online so you can fight other people, and challenges, as well as tons of unlockables and a bunch of different races of aliens to play and use those ships for. So the idea today is we're going to actually dive into it. We're going to play the Outcast race. We're going to talk about the ships and what they can do, as well as talking about the gameplay itself, since I haven't done this game before previously. And then we'll wrap it up with, is this game worth it? Is it worth your time? Is it worth your money? Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're not going to go into the campaign because it's a whole other thing. Challenges are challenges. We can even pop them up and get rid of this. And there are eventually will be challenges here. But the main thing we're going to is battle, which provides a bunch of different exactly what I said before, scenarios for you to go through. We're going to play the second one because it's the simplest one. Allows me to get the biggest points across that I want to of this game. We're going to be hitting deploy fleet, and luckily I've already made, I've messed around with this game a bunch already, and I've already made a custom fleet. But before we do that, we're going to talk about the customization that's allowed in this game and what's a lot of fun of it. Alright, so first thing you do here is you can choose the race you want to play. There's the Federation, which is the basic race. There's the Rebels, which are locked, the Alliances, which are locked, and the Empire, which is locked, of which you unlock after you collect enough money, or honor it's called, to unlock them. You have the Tribe, which comes from an expansion, the Order, the Swarm, and you also have the Nomads and the Outcasts. We're going to be playing the Outcasts because, again, this is the first expansion of it, and it gives you a little description of them. They come to a new world. They're basically people who've come and kind of like were shunned and whatnot, so they have very circular built ships, and they have interesting little bonuses to the ships. The most important part of this game, and the one that's going to draw a lot of people, including myself, is the ship customization. So let's pop in here real quick. So I have 3 ships that I've customized, but before we do that, you can choose from any one of these ships, and each one has a bonus. So like the fighter right here has a speed boost bonus. They are faster. The Iridium fighter has extra armor, which we'll get to that in a minute. Actually, this particular fighter we'll get to in a minute. And then other ones, like this fighter right here is a bit faster as well. We have KCM frigate hulls. All different kinds of frigates have different power boosts for their power and whatnot, and all this wonderful, wonderful stuff to talk and look at. We're going to open up right here. We're going to start with the biggest ship that we have, and I've named it the Outcast Death Frigate, just so I know what it is. So, as I said earlier, the big draw to this game and the big pull is the amount of customization that's allowed. You can equip your ship with the different kinds of weapons, different kinds of defenses, different kinds of crew, different kinds of engines and shields and defense mechanisms, all this crazy stuff that you can outfit this ship with, allowing it to make it your own. You can, if you're a big numbers person, a big max minner, you can literally design the perfect ship so long as you have the know-how. Obviously, you can see we start with a good swath of weapons, but there's a bunch that are locked, and those come with honor points, which we'll get to afterwards. This is defenses. We have engines here, and then other, which is crew, tractor beams, power generators, and whatnot. So the important thing to know when you're building your ship is 3 basic things. How heavy is the item you're putting on, how much power does it require, and how much crew does it cost. Now, because this ship is a big ship that we're using, I'm not going to worry about how much things weigh this thing down, because it's a slow ship. There are other ships that are going to be in front of it. What I care about is the damage it's going to do, and the power and crew it's going to cost. So weapons-wise, you can take a look here. We have the Cruiser Beam Laser. If we go down to the stats, you can see all the stats. It has a cost of 115. It throws 75 weight onto it. Hit points is decent, so it has a good amount of defense to it. But most importantly, it consumes 15 power, and we have 140 produced. And it does 57 damage. Now, it's easily some of the best weapons that we can have. The problem is, the downside, should I say, is it's relatively slow, and its tracking speed is not that great. So it fires once, and it takes a while to recharge before it can fire again. I have 2 of them latched on here. I also have 2 fast-firing missiles, so I'm making sure I'm constantly barraging. It does decent damage, it sucks up a good amount of power. So the question is, why do these cost anything? Why is there money involved? Well, everything you add to the ship adds to the cost of the ship. And you only have a certain amount of money to spend when making your armada, and a certain amount of crew to spend when making your armada. So the crew required for this thing is 290. Luckily, I've supplied it with 290 crew with this crew module 3, which allows when the ordinary crew populace just aren't big enough. Say basically, because this requires more crew than it'll ever allow me, I have to put a crew module on it in order for it to work. So you can do this kind of thing with all kinds of different ships. Let's just jump over to the defenses. You have different armors. The better the armor, the heavier it makes it, the slower it makes your ship. But luckily it costs no power or crew. It's just armor, which I have no armor on this thing right now. I'm actually relying straightly on the shield generator 2, which actually adds a good amount of hit points, as well as a decent amount of defense, and a reflector shield. Which is the high resistance, meaning it will deflect a number of small weapons without even taking a hit to its shield strength. So basically, laser beams and whatnot will bounce right off. So we'll just go in here, and we're gonna load up this one right here that has an armor boost, this little fighter, and we'll get an idea of how this works. So with a fighter, they're small. They're the guys that are in the front of the line, and when you add one to the armada, you're actually adding a fleet of them. That's how small they are. And we're going to take a look here, and what do we want this thing to be? It's got armor, so maybe a close-range fighter of some sort, since it's got more armor. That's going to be the fighter pulse laser, I believe, is what we want. It is a short range. Yep, it is a short range, so we're going to slap this thing on. Now, you're going to notice, by the way, I should have mentioned this before, hexagon and square, different outfits. Hexagon are basically offensive, squares, defensive, engines, and everything else. You're going to be seeing more hexagon on bigger ships, but more square on smaller ships. So we want the small one. We also need to give this thing power because it's going to draw. It's drawing already 4.8 power. And do we want to give it the best power produced? Let's see. This one provides 5 power, so we'll give that one for now. We're also going to want to give it some armor. We want to give it light armor because it's going to be close. Well, we'll give it heavy armor because it's going to be close range. And we need to give it some sort of engine. Let's give it a medium engine, which should give us a decent... Actually, give it the best engine, so it's going to go as fast as I can. That's going to be that. So we'll call this the... Outcast, oops, let's save this as the Outcast Mathis fighter, I guess. That's good enough. We can save that. And now we have that all done, and we can go back. So now the next point is getting your armada loaded up. So let's get rid of all this, and we'll talk about how you want to decide things. So on the right-hand side, you can see the enemies. They're big ships. You can't see what they're allowed to do, what they can do. You can just see the size of them, and there's a lot there. So what we want to do is try to make sure we have a decent amount of big ships in the back. I always like to start with at least one big ship. We'll put him up front, followed by some smaller ships. So this is the... Which one is the Mathis one? So we'll put the Mathis ones up front because they're fast and they're close range. We'll keep one smaller one in the back. We'll move him just back. I like to keep things kind of looking neat. Alright, so we already are out of crew. This is the important part. So we're already out of crew. We're going to pull back these guys a little bit. Maybe just put one of these here. And at the top right, you can see pilots. So, as I said, when you're building your ship, you need to know how much it's going to cost as far as pilots are concerned, how much it's going to cost as far as money is concerned. This is how much money I've spent and this is how much crew I've spent. I'm spending more crew than I'm spending on anything else, so I'm going to run out of pilots relatively quickly. Luckily, I don't have to worry about that with the big ships. Whoops. There we go. Barely have to worry about that with the big ships. I'm spending, what, 1 crew because I have those big pods on there? So we could have, like, 3 big ships and be pretty safe. The smaller ones are taking about 2. So we're going to have more of these smaller guys, I think. Not that one. We're going to have more of these smaller guys in there. And then I think we're going to top this off with some fighters. Now, these guys take a ton of crew because they're fighters, and there's a bunch of fighters involved in them. So we actually might want to put one more smaller ship. We'll put him in the back right there. And now we'll finish it off with... I'll put another Mathis one, the new ship that we just built. So that's going to be our deployment right there. We're going to have 4 medium-sized, 3 large, and then the rest. And that's going to... We're actually have money to spare. Now, when you win a battle, when you fight and win, you get honor. Depending on... The less ships you have, the more honor you'll gain. So basically, the higher risk, the higher reward. Luckily, I like to play things safe. What is honor for? We'll worry about that after this battle, because I already have some stocked up and I can show you. You can also do direct control, but that's not how this game is really meant to be played, so to speak. I like letting the... I'm more the planner. I like to plan out my armada, and then afterwards, let the fight happen. So what's going to happen, we're going to hit fight now. and we're going to hit OK, and it's going to go straight to the fight. And you can see our ships here, and they're going to be flying in, and now we just kind of watch. Now in the top left, we're going to see our percent chance to succeed, and the top right, their percent chance to succeed. We'll see how well this ends up going. As ships explode and whatnot, the numbers are both going to drop, and right now we have a small advantage, it looks like. It looks like our fighters are doing a bit better, and that's good. We can speed up the battle, of course, by cranking that up. We'll just speed up a little bit here. And we can also throw a grid on if we want. We can even slap the colors if you're getting confused as to whose ships are whose. This is just a case maybe you're online, you're using the same race, so to speak. This right here is show damage levels for each hit, and we can even take them off. So you can just take it off and make it a purely cinematic experience, as well as select a ship to follow cam. We can have a follow cam mode, but I'm not going to do that. So now it's literally just watching. It's a numbers game for us. What do we do? Right now we're winning. We're actually doing pretty decently. I think our new fighters are probably a good choice because they're really good at everything else. This ship shields just went down, so we're hopefully going to be able to unload on it. But we're probably going to end up losing this guy here. But he'll be replaced with the Arsenic. Up top, you have a lot of combat chatter of your men from the ships. It's really funny, actually, if you actually take the time to read it and take a look at it. I would do so if I were you. We also have... at the bottom left, a little mini map and all this wonderful stuff. So it's a really tight fight. Now, when the fight, if it ever comes entirely one-sided, like we have a 90% chance to win, they have like a 10% chance to win, the combat will just end. The game will say, "Beh, you've won." There's nothing we can do about it. And it just ends the combat, so it doesn't force you to kill every last ship. But if it's a tight game, but tight fight, it's going to go all the way to the end. So we actually got a huge win right there by killing that ship. And this one's shields are down, which is going to allow us a lot of another wonderful, wonderful ship explosion. And it seems like this particular fleet is actually really strong so far, at least this far into the game with this particular challenge, which is good. I like to see that happen. I like to see a wonderful destruction of my ship, of my fleet, so to speak. And we're going to kind of like speed up. Now we're going to speed up because we're running out of fighters. There's not a lot going on here. So we're going to crank this thing up to about 3.2 and let them just fight each other. So basically we're just missiling the hell out of these ships until their shields go down. And my worry is that these big ships are kind of by themselves down here. And hopefully we'll be able to win off. Ooh, good. We took down their ships. Missiles are launching like crazy. We have those fast missile launchers, which I think are absolutely phenomenal. And they're really, really helpful. And boom, they take them down. It's 83 to 39 now. Now, this is their big mothership, the Fearless. And the Fearless is always really hard to take down. But it looks like we took down their ships, their shields really quickly. And by this point, if this thing goes down, I wouldn't be surprised to see the game just end the battle. We'll actually slow things down a little bit here. Let things be wonderfully cinematic. And like I said earlier, as you can see, this game is very much a space simulation. Yeah, we took that thing down and done. Ha! Well, that would pretty much definitively answers the question as to who has the fastest reflexes. A mere squidgy biological or cybernetic warrior like us. It's us, in case you were still confused. So, we could take a look at the statistics after. You could see the most effective ship design was our big guys. The least effective was the Death Fighter, meaning we could probably replace those with the Mathis ones we just decided. The most effective one was the Cruiser Beam Laser, and the Rapid Fire Laser was the least effective weapons. You could take a look at all kinds of statistics after the battle, hit points at over time, damage distribution, damage per weapon, etc., etc. Before we go any further, we're going to jump back in the battles. And one of the cool things this game does is it won't always just be straight battles. In fact, certain games, or certain ones, have certain restrictions. I got a little budget flustered there. So in this one, you have a fleet budget of 25, you have extra crew, but the map size is small, but there's a spatial anomaly in this map. What is a spatial anomaly? Well, shield strength of all ships is reduced by 50%, and fighters unusable due to high levels of radiation. You can't use any fighter ships. What is that going to mean for us? Well, we might want to go in and create a whole new fleet that is based around armor and minimal shields, and just tank a ton of damage and maybe take them out with a massive amount of damage in turn. So we got other things. Let's take a look. Mission comes with supply limits, which are restrictions on the number of certain ship modules available for battle. You also have spatial anomalies. All ships require engines to get to battle. Camouflage systems inoperable due to hyper. So all kinds of wonderful, wonderful different things. Again, lots and lots and lots of variety, which I really like about this game. So after every battle, you get honor if you win. What do you do with that honor? Well, that's where unlocking comes in. If you watched me when I was making ships, a lot of the ship weapons were locked away, and a lot of the bonuses were locked away, and that's where this comes in. So I have 4,562 honor available, and I can spend that on unlocking weapons, on different ship designs, and on the 3 races that I don't even have yet. And you can do all of this here with that honor, meaning there's always a reward for you winning a battle. With the idea of this new expansion, Outcast adding 10 new ships, 6 new modules, 2 new scenarios, that's a lot of content on top of the content of the game with all its other expansions, which I have. This game, for $15, gives you so much content. Now the question is this worth $15? This is a question that you kind of need to answer, and maybe you've already answered by watching and watching this game. And I'm going to tell you right now, this game has a very niche audience. This game has already had a very quiet success. It's been one of those sleeper indie hits that have sold a few 100,000 units already. And it's one of those games that is definitely for the strategic mind. Is this game going to really appeal to those who aren't strategically minded, and for those who don't like RTSs or games like Civilization, similar things like that, where you set up, or just like top-down turn-based strategy games? This game is not going to change your mind. It's fun, but unless you have the mind to go in and customize your ships, because I'm telling you right now, the tutorial ships only get you through the first, maybe the second battle at most, then you're going to not find a lot of fun here because you won't be able to get past them all. As well as the idea behind direct controlling your ships too. You could do that, but in my opinion, it's way more fun to watch your ships go at it, but that's my personal thing. The art style is nice. It's got this nice hand-drawn top-down thing. Obviously not high budget, but it doesn't need to be. It's all about the explosion and the lasers shooting around and just winning battles, and it does a very good job at portraying the chaos of close quarters, like space combat. It's pretty crazy. So again, is the game worth it? If this is your style game, I think so. I think it's absolutely worth it. Again, the amount of content, as I keep repeating, is huge for the amount of money you're spending, as well as all the expansions you can throw down, and you can just pick up one expansion here, one expansion there. And I think the Outcast is one of the better expansions he's put out so far. It's a lot of fun. It's definitely really cool. The ships that you get all have individual bonuses, so you can max them in the type of fleet you want. Maybe you want a really fast fleet with close range weapons, and you just want to zoom in, you can do that. Maybe you want a really slow fleet with long-range weapons that are just going to bombard from far away. You can do that. So, again, this game allows for a lot of manipulation, a lot of customization. It's a lot of fun. Go check it out on Steam right now. It's $15 for the base game, and then all the expansions are individually priced. And the Outcast expansion is definitely one of the better expansions so far. Thank you guys so much for watching my indie snapshot of Gratuitous Space Battles, and I will see you next time here on my channel.